Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Valentine's Davie, who is going to be another Valentine's Davie coming to the game. I think at this point this is 100% confirmation that Davie is the RTS Valentine's character, if we didn't know already. Now Davie is going to be coming to the game as an accessible character in an upcoming event, so do stay tuned for more information with regards to that. But when we look at him visually, it is kind of Davie as we already know him, but there are bits and pieces in here. His weapon is very interesting. It is a bouquet of flowers, but with a little nasty surprise. As you see, he has got a little pistol in there as well. You can see he's got those heart-shaped sunglasses. He also has got heart-shaped cufflinks. He's got some secret weapons on him as well. He's got the knife, the grenades. He is pretty geared up. He's got the kilt. He's got that special heart-shaped chocolate box on his right-hand side as well. I think that's from the S-Class. So I like these sort of the references here. On the left-hand side, you can see he's geared up. I like the suit. It looks very good. There's a limit break 3 character, level 720. He has got 18,053 base attack, 17,050 defense, 15,044 HP. Alert character, of course, considered a damage dealer, Gold Mythic, and yet another character to join the Holiday Heroes. I believe now that does make the Holiday Heroes to be the most buffed out allegiance in the game. Do correct me if I am wrong. Now first up, we are going to look at his Adrenaline Rush, but before I do, I'm just going to draw your attention to the pictures of his Adrenaline Rush signature move and passives. Normally when someone's a damage dealer, they're a bit more red. These are a little bit more pink. Valentine's Day, baby. That's how it goes. It's called Valentine's Embrace. 66 AP cost. Deal 3 attacks against an enemy for 200% damage. Up to 3 other teammates get 40% attack for 3 turns. This is actually not too bad. Heavy hitting, 600% over 3 attacks is quite nice. This is going to be able to proc his weapon, so you could have something that amplifies damage on the weapon as well based on your enemy's HP. The big buff afterwards is great. That will not stack with certain weapon types though. So for instance, if someone's holding a boosted weapon based on traits, alert or strong, this will only override it or just be ignored if you've got 4. So it is just worth noting that this is going to work like a speech bubble buff. However, this will work with other things like leader skills, weapons, and all that good stuff. So if you don't have one of those weapons, which not everyone does, this is going to be very helpful. So if you get Valentine Davie's Rush off first, 3 of your characters are getting buffed, and that is going to be a massive amount of damage output. And it's also going to last for 3 turns. So it should last for, the next signature moves as well. Okay, so we have Davie's Rush Up, and we can unleash this however we want. There are going to be quite a lot of strong characters around at the moment on defense teams, so he will do bonus damage. So I can select a strong character first, then I can move on to other characters randomly. It probably will take out Harper with 1 hit here, if not 2. And then the second and third hit will just be completely random. I haven't got any other strong characters in the defense team here, so we'll see how it goes. It looks like we take out Harper, and then we do also take out Dr. Stevens here. So you can sort of see how it works, and it's going to be a triple attack effectively. This works quite similar, and quite similar damage as well, to Isabel. And if you've got Isabel, you know her damage output can be quite high indeed. Now here's the buff gone out, and you can see the 3 other teammates have got the big damage buff. So if they had their rushes ready too, and I hadn't used Glenn to just get some AP gain, I would be rushing now at 40% attack. But even if they didn't have it ready, they could have it ready to turn afterwards. It doesn't matter. 3 turns is a long time for a 40% attack buff. So we'll take a look at the upgrades on the Adrenaline Rush, and you can see at grade 2, it gets +1 to the attack. So originally it is dealing 2 attacks against an enemy. Now it's doing 3 attacks against an enemy. That's going to be quite a big amplification. That's a whole other huge percentage of damage. Then at grade 4, you can see it gets +1 attack up target. So originally it's going to be 2 other teammates getting the attack bonus, and then it gets improved to 3. That is nice. This is where these characters might be a bit harder to come by. At limit break 1, gets +1 attack up duration, so it goes from 2 turns to 3 turns. This is actually pretty nice, and while 2 turns is still going to be pretty viable, a 3-turn buff is just kind of rare. A lot of buffs right now are 2-turn, and a lot of the time it's the turn you give it to the person and then their next turn, so it's just obviously quite limited, whereas 3 turns is big. If we look at the last one at limit break 3, it gets plus 20% attack. Now I assume this is on the buff itself, so the buff will go from 3 other teammates get 20% attack for 3 turns to 3 other teammates get 40% attack for 3 turns. Personally, I would have preferred them getting swapped round, LB1 and LB3, just because of the fact that obviously 20% boost is nuts. But that's why you've got to get that LB3 if you do want to get the best out of this guy's rush. So overall, I don't think this rush is too bad at all. Going to be dealing quite a lot of damage. His base attack is pretty decent. And also the buff is very nice. I think there are some teams that have a limited boost to damage. And if you didn't pick up specific weapons, you're going to be kind of lacking, especially tough characters. So you could obviously put Davie in a team of tough characters and also fast characters, because there's no like fast attacks or tough attack weapons. And if you did not pick up the alert attack weapon, it's only really strong that you can go in. So very one-dimensional on percentage damage at the moment, but this is going to help. And if you combo it with defense down, it is beautiful. Now next we'll check out Valentine Davie's signature move, and it is called True Suitors. Initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 1 turn, number of uses unlimited, make a critical attack against an enemy for 100% damage, impair a line of enemies for 2 turns. This is actually not too bad. It's not a hard control, but it is actually pretty decent. They're still going to be able to do signature moves. They're still going to be able to do basic attacks. They will not gain AP, which is obviously great, as there are quite a few characters that are quick rushing, especially if you're coming up against teams with William on defense teams. This is going to stop William's AP gain passive from actually being able to give AP to 2 characters of your choice effectively. You're not going to see too much in the way of impair resist as well, so it should pretty much be a free control, and considering he's a damage dealer, you kind of need that. He's not going to get any bonuses from like precision if he was a controller. The crit attack is just a nice little bonus. It will do significant damage, especially as it can be amplified by that weapon boost, but it's only 100% damage. It's not huge. I would just see this as like a little bonus. It will work with certain weapons as well, if you do have weapons that have a boost based on guaranteed crits, but it's up to you how you want to do things. So far, everything gains bonuses from crits on his kit, so it is probably a good idea to go with crit multiplier when it comes to his mod set, if you were thinking about how to gear out this character. So here we are, and we're going to use the signature move, and we can decide which line of enemies we want to use it against. It is worth noting, it only damages the target, but it does impair the line. So for instance, if I try to attack Alice here, it would also impair Harper in front, but if I did Harper, I'd do trait damage and it would also impair Alice behind. So we can do the signature move, and it is going to be pretty hard hitting. Like I say, guaranteed crit. It's not going to be too bad in terms of the amount of damage output you can get. You can get amplified on the weapon itself, but really we're here for the control. The control is the nice bit. Now Alice will still be able to do damage, but this is, like I said, going to stop her from gaining AP, which is going to be very nice indeed. Now, while I don't think that alert characters really needed more control, it's always nice, especially if it's turn 1. You can have a lot of options when it comes to attacking with alert characters that way. If we check out the upgrades, you can see at grade 3 it gets -1 to cooldown, so it goes from a 3-turn cooldown down to a 2-turn cooldown. At grade 5 it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so this is going to be quite important to get that first turn signature move usage, because it goes from 2 turns down to 1 turn. And at limit break 2 it goes down from 2 turns down to 1 turn, and this means you're going to be able to use the signature move every other turn. So while the majority of the time it is ideal to actually do his adrenaline rush on turn 3 when he's going to have enough AP, you'll actually have the choice to do his signature move instead, and it could be worthwhile doing depending on whether you think you could take out the line of enemies or if you just want to stop them from actually rushing on their rush turn. So you could potentially stop 4 characters rushing by turn 3 if you just impair the bottom line and then impair the top line without rushing on Davie himself. And this is actually going to be quite useful when it comes to dealing with teams that are rushing a lot. Like I said, particularly teams with William on defense, just because they're getting AP so quickly. So overall, I think this signature move is pretty decent. It does exactly what it says on the tin. There's nothing really, special about it. It's just as it says. And I think it's a nice little bonus, like I said before. Could it have been something else? It could potentially have just been a harder hit. I don't really know. I think Alert actually have quite a lot of options now. They have a lot of first turn signature moves that are nuky. You know, you've got Lorries, you've got Carols, you've also got a lot of first turn signature moves that are controlling. This is a bit of a mix of both, so best of both worlds is probably a nice different option than what we have already. Now next up, Davie has some mythic abilities. These are of course his passive skills, and the first one is going to be agility. This is going to work with all parts of his kit, so it's definitely worth upgrading. Rush, signature move, basic attacks. It will increase his basic attack damage, and that is very, very nice indeed. Up to 20% once you get him to LB1. The next one would be the Holiday I Adore. When battling on the offensive team, all Holiday Heroes Allegiance members get 30% attack. This is a nice boost, and this should work from the stats screen. So that is going to be pretty nice. I'll test that out to see if it works from him being actually just on the roster, and whether it would buff someone like Herschel on the roster as well. The next one is called Davie's Gifts. At the start of each wave, 60% chance all Holiday Heroes Allegiance members get camouflage for the first 3 turns of combat. Now you might have seen this proccing before, and that's where this comes from. I don't think this is that amazing, because the majority of defense team characters do have single target, you know, dogpiling for instance, and signature moves. But there are certain rushes that do have multi-hits. For instance, Marcus has, I think, he mains 2, and we also have other characters that do attack 2. It's going to stop that second hit if it does hit someone with camouflage and they are not the actual target of that rush or signature move as it is. So that's going to be just a small bonus. It is only 60% chance, but it's just a small bonus just to keep some of your characters alive. The next one is called I Love You Too. When attacking while having the taunt status, plus 120% attack. This is actually really nice, but it is hard to, you know, actually make use of this while having you know, focus on your character or something, just because there are so many characters that remove focus. It could potentially just come out and be a basic attack. If you've got Michonne Decap, you know what she can do when she gets 160% boost against characters with heal over time, and this is going to be kind of like the same deal, but it's going to be much harder to control and actually get the rush off. But when you do, it should be massively amplified damage. It'll work with all 3 hits on that adrenaline rush and pretty much turn it from a 600% hit into a 1200% plus. Okay, so as you can see, we've got Herschel as the leader, and if I put Davie on the other side of the team, he shouldn't normally be able to buff him. He has not got a 1535 weapon on base or anything like that, and you're going to see his attack go up by about 30%, and that is the 30% bonus that he's getting from Davie. This is going to buff Davie himself, so Davie gets like a self buff on top of this, so it's like he's carrying around a second weapon. So if he is the only Holiday hero, it's not that big a deal, because he's just going to be giving himself a 30% attack boost, which isn't too bad at all. It's just, it is a nice bonus if you do happen to have other Holiday heroes in the team as well. So we're going to just start the fight, and we're going to be using Herschel as the leader. This is just to show you the camouflage. You have seen it has procced. It only has one opportunity to proc, and that is at the beginning of the fight, and all Holiday heroes will get that buff. Now again, if Davie is the only guy, he's the only one who will get it, and you can see characters like Rick 2000 and Glenn will not. And this is just a little bonus. It isn't like spectacular, but it will stop those multi-hit rushes. It will stop those line rushes, which can be pretty dangerous, especially in certain game modes. So for instance, in the future, if there's any like roadmaps that come out or anything like that, which requires you to use, let's say, 3+ of Holiday heroes, you could take an entire team with Davie in. You're going to have that camouflage, and then if they are buffed up enemies, like if they're conquest level or challenge run level, you are going to be able to potentially drastically reduce incoming damage that way. So it's not going to be terrible at all. Now it's going to be very hard for me to show you the attack when he's taunted, because he's going to need to have a bonus on him, or he's just going to need to do a basic attack. But it will amplify his damage regardless, and it should stack with the mod itself as well, so you could potentially double down to get the best out of it. It's up to you. Now quickly just breeze over the upgrades of Valentine Davie's passives, and you can see that the Holiday I Adore Part 1 is going to be at grade 1. That's going to be 15% of the attack to Holiday Allegiance characters. Agility 1 at grade 2 as is standard. The Holiday I Adore 2 at grade 3, so you're going to get the 30% attack boost to Holiday Allegiance characters, namely at least Davie, by grade 3. So he's going to get quite a big damage boost from this. That's actually pretty nice. At grade 4, he's going to get the first half of Davie's gifts. At grade 5, he gets the first half of I Love You Too. And then at grade Limit Break 1, he gets the second part of Agility. So Agility 2 comes in and they of course stack together. And then we have the second half of Davie's Gifts 2 at Limit Break 2. And this is going to stack together again in terms of the chance to get Camouflage at the beginning of the turn up to 60%. And then Limit Break 3, I Love You 2, Part 2. And this is going to be the 40% attack boost when he is taunted. So it isn't too bad on the upgrades. Obviously, if you get him to grade 5, you're going to get the majority of the taunt boost. You're not going to get the majority of the chance to get the Camouflage, but I don't think it's that big a deal. The main reason you want to get these characters up to higher grades is just to get better stats. He is a damage dealer and it means a lot. You know, the difference between LB1 and LB3 is thousands of damage off base. Then all the multipliers come in and he gets extra multipliers because of that buff to Holiday Hero characters. So it's definitely worth getting him up as high a tier as possible if you intend on using him. So overall, I think his passives are quite nice too, but that extra 30% attack does stand out quite a bit. Now you may have noticed it, but Davie is actually an attack leader, and he is the second attack leader to make it onto the Holiday Heroes roster. And if we check out that leader skill, all fast and alert teammates get 30% attack. Those teammates get focus for the first 2 turns of combat. Now this one obviously is a bit questionable just because the other attack leader within Valentine's because the other attack leader within the Holiday Heroes is going to be Herschel, and he has exactly the same leader skill pretty much, but instead of doing focus he does normalize. I believe it's exactly the same. So it doesn't really add much diversity, and the issue with Herschel was you couldn't use certain Holiday Heroes behind him, and that's going to be exactly the same with Valentine's Davie. Unfortunately, you know, there's tough characters in there already, so and namely Tyrese. So this is obviously a problem in my eyes, but this is a nice leader skill. It is kind of similar to the Negan leader skill. I think Negan's is 25% attack, so it is a little bit of a boost. So this is pretty good. I've used this for a very long time. Focus is awesome if you can keep it. There are so many characters around right now that just do not make it actually possible. So if I start the fight here, you can see I have got a full Holiday Heroes team. Everybody's getting the boost of the Camouflage because it did proc, but only the fast and alert characters are getting the focus, and only the fast and alert characters will get the attack boost as well. However, Tyrese will be getting the 30% attack boost from his base passive, so it does potentially make up for his lack of boost from his actual leader skill. Someone like Rudolph Shiva now, though, is going to have 30% boost from lead, 30% boost from the actual boost from his leader skill as well. And then potentially, if you stacked up more alert characters, put alert buffs weapon in there, getting an actual attack bonus as well. If you get Valentine's Davie Rush Up, 40% attack, there are potentially some nice combos where you could use limited amounts of Holiday Heroes and still get a really good boost to certain characters. Now, of course, Davie does have an attached weapon. I will say weapon because, I mean, it is a pistol. It's Valentine's Davie's Savage Bouquet pistol. It looks even more ridiculous when you see it here. 35% attack boost, a huge bonus to AP when attacking, and in the third slot, improved leech life. This is a off-trait special, I believe, that you can't even craft. So the normal one is just called leech life, and I believe you can only do it on fast. When attacking, a 50% chance to regain HP by 120% of the enemy HP lost. On Davie, this could be pretty decent, but there's no bonuses he's going to get from actually receiving HP if he's full HP. So he's not going to turn it into bonus HP. There's nothing he can do there. So he has to have already lost HP. And because he's a damage dealer, that does mean that, you know, you're kind of banking on him still being alive as well. So I don't really think this is going to be that great. You're still probably better off going with the percentage damage when the character's health is a certain percentage, just because that is more controllable. It's 100% of the time. He has got a first turn signature move and it will work with his rush as well. So this is just 50% chance to do it as well. So it isn't even like it's guaranteed. Personally, I would not have this, but you could potentially remove this and go for what I said. 45% attack when enemies HP is 50% or higher, increase the attack to 45%, 5-star the weapon, then make the weapon 55% attack and 1535. His attack stat is going to be really high, but considering he's getting that like bonus weapon within his passives, you're going to look at really high attack stat. If he's surrounded by 1535 weapons too, we could be looking, you know, at like 130k, 140k damage, and that's not even including any attack buffs that other teammates could give him based on weapons, signature moves, rushes, and the likes. So that is Valentine's Davie, and I think he's not too bad, but he kind of is a bit hit and miss. There are certain things where I think they could have tweaked it a little bit, especially that leader skill, because it isn't really adding much, especially to the holiday heroes, but I guess it's not too bad. I like one of the passives. I do like his kit in terms of his rush and his signature move. They do seem to be pretty good, and his damage should be pretty high. He is another alert damage dealer, another multi-hit alert damage dealer, so it's something to sort of just add into with the other ones. I guess you could easily make a team out of alert now. I don't think alert's as bad as it used to be, for sure, and I think they've probably got the most leaders in the game. I just realized it's another alert leader, isn't it? So we've potentially got, what, like 6 alert leaders right now, and I think 2 defense, 4 attack. That is a lot. That is a lot indeed. But do give me your thoughts on Valentine's Davie, and do stay tuned for how to get your hands on this character free to play. But that is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.